and welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, December 6, 2016. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Chief Executive Officer and Operations Manager of the Buckerment Bay Resort, Dave Ames, has been given an ultimatum. So says trade unionist Joseph Burns-Bernardi, who told SVG-TV News earlier today that he, along with the Labour Commissioner, took the bold step to go directly to the resort on Monday in the company of Labour Minister Camila Gonzalez. Bernardi says the unexpected visit was necessary after making several calls to reach management to seek some answers over the issue of non-payment of salaries to employees. The trade unionist says the resort's general manager, Gayleen Collins-Crick, was receptive, and Minister Gonzalez requested to get in direct contact with Mr. Ames, who is reportedly in the UK. Bernardi says it was pointed out that the resort's management was committing a criminal offence by withholding salary payments to the employees, and that if the payments are not forthcoming, they will have no choice but to take the next step forward.
Step forward is if they don't come up with the funding. The minister indicated to Mr. Ames he will report to the DPP and institute criminal proceedings against the company and the management. He said that so far they have not gone that way, but that's what the law says. And it not only applies to the owners of the business, but to those who they get to manage the business. And the minister indicated that what was happening there was untenable. And you must do something immediately. And you don't want promises, empty promises, because the employees had indicated to the minister that they heard these things before. Next week, they come in next week, and next week never materialized. So the minister indicated to him that under the laws of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is a provision that if you refuse to pay somebody who worked for you at least a minimum of the salary which they work for, it is a criminal offense.
According to Bernardi, Ames indicated via the telephone that funds have recently been transferred here, but the trade unionist says based on the discussion, the funds might just be sufficient to pay employees for the month of September. Noting that the resort's wage bill amounts to $500,000 monthly, the Labour Minister reportedly urged Ames to pay his dues.
It was a discussion explaining to them the implications of not living up to your obligation. And of course the minister already also indicated to them about the hardship that is being created, and that in all his travels up and down the Caribbean, no other country would have allowed this to reach to the stage that it's in. The hotel would have been closed already. The object of the exercise is not to shut the hotel down, but for them to live up to their obligation. The irony of the whole situation is that the hotel is almost full. People are coming, people are paying, and they're not transferring the funds down to St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Expressing his satisfaction with the situation, Bernardi says he was shocked to find out that some employees were even living at the resort after facing eviction from their house because they were unable to meet their mortgage or rental payments.
One of the other things which shocked me, I say shocked, although in a way that I appreciate what was done. People have been ejected out of their homes for non-payment of rent. And the manager accommodated a number of them at the hotel. I mean, this is something unheard of. You know, where you can't afford to pay your rent. No fault of your own. You're ejected. So some of them living in the hotel.
And former opposition leader Annie Eustace on radio on Monday said the state of affairs over the non-payment of salaries to employees at the Buckerment Bay Resort cannot continue. The former NDP leader firmly called on the government to take action, noting that the situation is one that should not have happened. Eustace added that it is unfortunate that the vulnerable are left to suffer.
The government allowed that man to leave here with $7 million. When including owing to the government. You want to tell me they did not know that he was leaving St. Vincent and the Grenadines? Then put measures in place to ensure that he cannot leave. We had the case with Nana before, you know.
Yes.
We had the case with Nana before. And now we find our people are in trouble and having to resort to some sort of action today to try and bring an end to the situation. But who is going to get the money back from Mr. Ames, the money that are owing now? Who is going to get it back? What action is being taken to get it back so the workers' needs can be satisfied? I'm not hearing anything except that people are protesting because of the conditions that they now face.
Commenting on the negative impacts the mismanagement of the resort could have on SVG's image, Eustace said drastic measures need to be taken to settle the matter.
Something has to be done, and the only thing to do this is to change this government. We have Otley Hall, similar sort of situation. Now you're selling Monk Twin Peter soap, and even that is being sold for $7 million. The same amount of your workers. Come on. What are we doing here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines to improve the well-being and the livelihood of our people? What significant action is being taken on the part of the government to improve the well-being of our people and to bring those to justice who rob us and rob our workers? People must be paid in accordance with their contracts. They can't put off buying the food. They have to have the food now to feed their families. That's why they work.
The St. Vincent and the Grenadines Public Service Union is calling on the management of the Buccament Bay Resort to immediately settle all outstanding payments owed to the employees. PSU President Elroy Boucher today told SVG-TV News that the thought of workers not receiving salaries for over 2 months is vexing and totally unacceptable.
It's December month. People are getting ready to do Christmas shopping. What are these workers really supposed to do? Furthermore, these workers have no union, so they are standing by themselves. Somebody and all trade unions within St. Vincent should stand in solidarity with them. Their families are being affected because it is not easy to go 1 month, even 2 months without any payment for you as a worker and your entire family. That is severe stress, okay? And this has been happening. There has been, prior to this, there have been very little intervention as far as we are aware. We are very much aware that the Labour Department would have gone there several times. But does the Labour Department have the legal teeth to enforce anything? So what is happening there is really very much sad.
Executive Director of the National Insurance Services, Reginald Thomas, says the institution remains financially sound with a key focus on customers. Thomas was speaking earlier today at the launch of activities to commemorate the NIS's 30 years of operation. He said the NIS has made tremendous strides over the years, with December 2015 figures showing that the institution has achieved assets of $470.8 million, reserves of $465.3 million, and an investment portfolio of $13.5 million. Thomas noted that the NIS prides itself on being dependable and reliable to its customers as they continue to deliver benefits on time.
Dependency, the reliance that they place on their national insurance services, as every fortnight, without exception, they receive their benefit checks, whether they be short-term or long-term, whether they be survivors or maternity, whether they be sickness or invalidity. Those payments are received every fortnight on time, every Wednesday of the second week in the fortnight, every time on time. So we at the National Insurance Services, we pride ourselves on that reliability that we have in terms of operating the system of social protection so that you, our stakeholders, find value and can come to rely most definitely on what your National Insurance Services has been to you for the last 30 years.
Thomas added that over the years, the NIS has had many slogans which match their services and give the assurance that the institution will continue to seek out good investment opportunities to grow their level of income.
Over the years, we've had many slogans as we seek to navigate the path to and for excellence within Social Security. We've had a theme from the womb to the tomb, telling you that we pay Social Security benefits from maternity and we also pay that benefit. But in addition to that, we will continue to ensure that we look, we seek out, and we assess good investment opportunities to grow the level of our investment income in ways that are second to none, heightening our governance strategies and heightening our accountability mechanism.
Thomas added that stakeholders must be proud of the accomplishments of the NIS over the years and give the assurance that the institution will continue to look out for the interest of customers.
And this facility in which we are in is the conference room of the National Insurance Services. It's about one of the best within our sub-region. Stakeholders must therefore be proud of the accomplishments of the National Insurance over the years. And this headquarters building is a testimony to that fact. We want to say to you then today that you can continue to count on us for the next 30 years. We will continue to monitor risk, to assess all of the varying challenges as it relates to labor force participation and labor force composition. And we will do so solely to ensure that every single person who should participate and contributes to the social protection framework.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines, along with other neighboring islands, experienced some seismic activity at around 5:43 p.m. this evening as the UWI Seismic Center recorded an earthquake near Trinidad and Tobago. According to the University of the West Indies Seismic Research Center, the quake was measured at 6.2 at latitude 11.4 north and longitude 60.7 west at a depth of 29 kilometers. The center of the quake was located 99 kilometers northeast of Port of Spain, Trinidad and Tobago. A lack of energy is a serious problem and has the potential to deprive Vincentians of both essential and non-essential services. That's the view shared by Deputy Director of the Energy Unit, Lance Peters, as he spoke earlier today at the launch of a two-day workshop aimed at combating climate change through sustainable energy. Peters noted that islands such as SVG are highly dependent on fossil fuels to supply the nation's energy needs, a situation which he says has implications for the economic development of the country.
Implications of this heavy demand on fossil fuel on the wider economy include such things such as the vulnerability to oil prices and the fluctuations, the availability of this oil, because each and every one of us know here St. Vincent doesn't produce oil. So we depend, in our case, from Venezuela. And once that oil prices goes up, we bear the blunt of it. We have to pay the high fuel prices. If it goes down, like relatively now, we enjoy some of the benefit. But we, as a small island developing state, we do not have that control. So we are largely dependent on these fossil fuel imports. These imports generally represent roughly 20% import and expenditure.
Peters noted that globally there is an energy revolution taking place and called on all Vincentians to change their mindset so that SVG can benefit from such a revolution.
Across the world, not only here in St. Vincent, but across the world, the region, what we're seeing is a revolution in clean energy, okay, and that is on the way. Investment is booming, prices are going down, and the market is moving in ways imaginable, and countless communities and individuals are joining this revolution. The cost of installing solar panels has gone down some 70% in just 6 years. So it's becoming cheaper. This form of energy, it's becoming cheaper, solar. But all of this will not move forward by itself. Not because we see prices going down, not because we see things are changing. It will not move by itself. All of us, again, governments, businesses, individual, each one of us here, we have to change our mindset. We can't go about doing the same set of things we have been doing for years. We have to change that mindset.
Meanwhile, the project officer for Promoting Access to Clean Energy Services project, Leishan Monrose, stated that the objectives of the project are to reduce greenhouse emissions from fossil fuels by exploiting indigenous sources of renewable energy. Monrose added that since its implementation last year, the project has made tremendous strides in achieving its goal through workshops, consultations, and capacity building activities, and further outlined some of the other activities the project entails in order to assist countries like SVG combat climate change.
PACES is also looking forward to the review of the existing Electricity Supply Act and the National Energy Policy and Action Plan, with the view of making the country's policy framework more enabling for renewable energy developments. Several other capacity building, policy reform, and demonstration projects have been planned and will be executed over the remaining lifespan of the project. The PACES project is working hard towards delivering both economic and environmental benefits to St. Vincent and the Grenadines through targeted efforts within the energy sector. We expect that through the project activities, there will be a greater share of renewable energy in the country's energy mix, which will contribute to the global efforts of climate change mitigation and to assist the country to meet its commitments under the various environmental agreements that it is party to.
Cuba, through the leadership of the late President Fidel Castro, has made it possible for its people as well as citizens of other third world and developing countries to develop their professionalism and skills by sharing resources. This view was shared on the Issue at Hand radio program on Sunday, December 4th, 2016, as panelists discussed the life and legacy of the late leader. Noting that Cuba's humanitarian stride has echoed even here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, former SVG ambassador to Cuba, Dexter Rose, outlined that SVG's education and healthcare sectors have benefited greatly from Castro's generosity in allowing Vincentians to achieve free schooling and training. He also mentioned instances where Cuban professionals have come to lend their expertise. Rose, who also had the opportunity to study in Cuba, said there needs to be a better showcase of solidarity by Vincentians in recognition of the benefits derived through the diplomatic ties between SVG and Cuba.
Never experienced, during my days as a student living with Cubans, any animosity towards my studying there. No, I don't remember one person ever tell me, oh, you're taking away from we. And it's important in the education, the way the people are being educated in terms of solidarity. We who grew up in Christian societies, I grew up in a Christian home, and I noticed what Jesus Christ wanted. Share what you have. But we have a lot of persons here who are being so indoctrinated by Western media, by the selfishness that people here without even thinking, they begin to question Cubans sharing what they have with us. They begin to question, and they don't think they do anything bad, you know. How dare you want to share with people? How you educating people? You should make your recipe. Now, Cubans could be their lives could be a lot richer if they were not sharing what they have with all of us.
The National Telecommunications Regulatory Commission, the NTRC, has made a donation of computers which will go to 4 communities here. The donation is being done through the Community Development Program of the Ministry of National Mobilization. According to the ministry's representative, Roger Young, the donation is expected to help further develop the communities through the use of technology.
An available and affordable telecommunication service is one such need. These days, some see it as a basic need to go along with clothing, food, and shelter. I guess we have to agree with that. I am confident that the 4 beneficiary communities will put the computers to productive use to assist their clientele, be it children, youth, adults, and or the elderly. This is not the first time that the NTRC would have assisted the ministry on behalf of communities. Under the Universal Service Fund, the NTRC would have and continue to install wireless internet access at several of our community centers. You can now go to almost any community around Siblings and Grenadines and have access to free Wi-Fi, thanks to the NTRC.
NTRC Director Apollo Knight says the Commission is committed to developing SVG with the advancement of technology.
The NTRC will work with the entities that are receiving them and see what their needs are in terms of the software, and we'll assist in that part in this few months from now. So whatever software you might want, we'll try to get it to you to go forward. But at this point, ensuring that we have the best hardware possible, we choose to make sure the hardware specs what was the best based on the budget that the ITU had to procure them. Part of the goal of the NTRC is bringing, I see the ITU wants to connect the world, and our goal is to connect St. Vincent. That's where our mandate is. So we're trying to improve the connectivity in St. Vincent. So both our goals are measured in that way. And all of the locations that, the entities that are receiving these computers already have access, wireless internet access from the NTRC via our Universal Service Fund projects.